picked this up. I never jigged it. Smallest northern yet. Oh, I didn't know you had the camera. This is the littlest northern that we've caught in a few days of fishing the same water with the same goal in mind. Now, fortunately, again, it looks to me like this fish just took it in the side of its mouth. Let me tell you something really interesting. You know, when you might look at a bucktail jig like we're using, you're thinking, they don't look like much. What do you do with it? And you usually have to give the jig life. You have to give it action. But in this case, this pike saw this drop to the bottom, came over and picked it up while it was lying still on the bottom, and that's how I got the strike. I hadn't even moved it. And this has happened to me twice today. It really blows my mind. How it just shows you, you think you've got the answer to something, and you constantly, I guess, got to experiment. Now, the only reason I'm not getting this hook out is he won't open his mouth, because it isn't hooked very deeply, but I need to be able to get leverage away from how it's hooked. Come on. There we go. Okay. Now, let me show you something else. I have my hand pinched over each side of its gill, so you got to be very careful that that gill flap is not damaged in any way. That one is out. This side I've got to pull out. There we go. So the flap covers the gills. Now, let's see if he'll swim away. He was pinched for a while here. There he goes. That's good to see. I've got appointments a little bit later. I got to go in front of people covered in northern pike slime unless I do something about it. Still, that isn't going to wash off. And there's blood on me. I don't know if it's mine or his. Remember, northern pike have wicked, wicked teeth. Now let me show you. I've tried to show you before, but I think it's important that you know the methods of how we catch fish so that you can do the same. I'm using braided line, and I'm not really a fan of braided line, but I'm becoming more so. There's pros and cons to monofilament and braid, but what I like about braid is that there's no stretch, and at times like this it gives you a better feel. But let me show you what I'm doing. I just cast as far as I can, and then I wait until it hits the bottom. Now, how do I know? I watch my line, and my line's going to stay straight out as it falls. But once it hits the bottom, my line will go slack, and then I'll know to begin my retrieve. Still sinking. It hasn't gone slack yet. And now it has. Now it falls back on itself, so I know it's on the bottom. And then I just slowly start. You see, I'm giving that lure action. But remember, this time of the year, the water is very cold. Their bodies slow down because they're cold-blooded. And so they don't respond to quick-moving lures the same as they do in the summer. So I want to move it sort of slowly, give them a chance to hit it, and that's what I'm doing.